Hi, I'm Jennifer Jones, and I'm the Director of Music Ministry here at Trinity Presbyterian of McKinney.
I'm Jen Zaccarella. I'm the Director of Outreach and Engagement here at Trinity. And for the past couple of years, communications has been part of my job as well.
I am Tammy Voiles. I'm the Director of Christian Education, Youth, and Young Adults here at Trinity.
I'm Lacey Caesars, and I'm married to Alex Caesars, and we have two daughters, Shannon and Caroline.
Suzanne Robertson. I've been here at Trinity since 2001 with my husband, Glenn Robertson, who everyone knows already, and my 4 children, who are all grown now.
March 8th, 2020 was the last Sunday we had in-person worship. We were on spring break, and just the world changed.
I've done youth ministry for so long, and I've almost have it down to a science now. This is how this program's going to run. I've run that program for 20-something years. I just have it down, and I know what needs to happen.
Well, when COVID hit, the first few articles that came out were about church choirs spreading COVID. And in my mind, I sat there just cringing.
The pandemic hits, and all of that's out the window. I have to totally rethink every single thing that we do in youth ministry and children's ministry.
So we moved to doing pre-recorded everything.
And so I jumped on the track right away of doing virtual stuff. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that we'd have to pivot.
We had to cancel Vacation Bible School, so we had to figure that out. How do you do Vacation Bible School online with, children?
And so my role now is more audio engineering, video engineering, rehearsing choir, plus overseeing the music ministry.
I had zero background in any of this stuff.
I did not have any background in video or audio editing. I learned how to do this through Google and YouTube.
So it really has opened me up a lot more to different ideas, I think. Like for the month of July, we spent July working on our Sabbath habits. We figured nobody's going anywhere, no one's doing anything. Everybody always tells me they can't take a Sabbath because they're too busy. Well, we're not busy right now. So things like that, which we had not been able to do, we had to kind of rethink. The blessing of the backpacks, we had to completely rethink that as well, to where the kids could get their backpack tags and get their backpacks blessed before school started. And so we had to do a drive-through.
With the pivot with COVID, that was a huge challenge. And it did bring a lot of late nights, little sleep, a lot of stress, but just being able to have the fellowship over Zoom and working with our choir over Zoom, it's so worth it. And it makes me love my job, and it makes me love working here.
It's actually allowed for me to be more involved because the online stuff is so constant. You have the morning coffees. My Bible study classes are on Zoom, so I'm still doing those. And we actually went to weekly for a while because people were kind of feeling cut off. So we were doing every week. And just how is everybody doing, catching up and talking to everybody, make sure everybody was still doing well. And then we started choir recently and doing choir. That's really cool. But the first time, you don't know really how it's going to work out. So that's the hardest. But then once you see her final product, man, she's got this nailed down. She's good. So she's a huge piece to keeping everything normal in our lives, in the choir's lives anyway. Mm-hmm. But it's a whole another level of trust. So now we're in a different place even than the choir was before with the trust part. So there's always a little glimmer of something that's positive even in a pandemic.
And if you look for a silver lining, there's always a silver lining to find. And I would say that, for me, during this pandemic, the biggest silver lining has been the things that I've been able to learn. I just feel very fortunate to have, been able to be in this position during this time for such a time as this.
We really have had to think about things in a completely different way. And I do think what the pandemic has taught us is that we are going to be virtual from this point forward as far as a part of our ministry. When we can get back together, Logos is already meeting back together with the kids, which is really nice, but we have to be outside and masks and 6 feet apart. So there's a lot goes into it. But we will always, I think, have this virtual component now to our ministry because a lot of people just love it. They just like being able to access it anytime they want to. And we want to be able to give that to them.
I know that, in our makeshift studio, this isn't the chapel. It's not the Great Hall. It's not what we're used to, on a Sunday morning. Wood, books, isn't what we're used to seeing behind us during worship. This is all one big, kind of learn as we go process. And even though it doesn't have the stained glass and it doesn't, have the same feel as the chapel, this is, when we are praying in here, when Woody is giving a sermon in here, God is still in this room. And it may look a little different, but it's, God is still very, very much in this tiny little room with us every Sunday.
This Zoom stuff has been a lifeline. For a lot of people, I think it has. I'm in 2 different Bible studies. And when the pandemic first, when everything closed down, that's when we started. Every week we would just chat and see how everybody was doing. And when you're in a Bible study class, you show up and you do a prayer and you do your study. And even though the study's 2 hours and you're together with these people, you're not talking like on a personal level. So when we were just getting together and meeting for maybe like an hour or something once a week, we were literally talking personal stuff, how everybody's doing, how's your family. So it's almost like a prayer time with that, and the small groups, 5 people. So that day, I do think we drew closer in the Bible study groups.
Now it's different during COVID, to not be able to see everybody in person. But I will say, our congregation, our members, they are taking care of us. I can't tell you how many things have been dropped off on my front porch. Completely unexpected. Bread, masks, obviously communion.
I give Alex all the credit of this. So when we first started was that very first month where we didn't actually practice communion at the church at all. And he said, hey, why don't we bake some bread for our friends? So pretty much just a tight circle of our Sunday school class. So we did that and it was a good time. And so the next month we said, okay, let's expand this a little bit. So we included our entire Sunday school class, and then we asked the girls' church staff that meant something to them. And we added that. And then I just reached out to Mally and I said, hey, we're doing this thing. Do you have anybody that you can think of that this might bring some sort of joy? So we start usually around Wednesday baking to have it all done by Friday night. But if it's going to be a big batch, then I'll start even as early as Sunday and freeze it so it stays fresh. But it takes us, we call it bread week. We all have our own roles. So I bake the bread and then Alex does all of the bags. So all of the little Trinity logos that are on the bags, that's actually vinyl that's cut, and he weeds it and puts it on there. And then the girls help package it up and make sure that all of the drivers have their boxes all set. So I just really want to thank the team of people. So our family bakes the bread, but we are not the people driving it. Billy Hawkins and his wife have done a phenomenal job of rounding up drivers and getting that organized so that everybody knows where to go. And we could not do this without that team. And of course, Mally and everybody at the church that's helping us figure out who who to deliver bread to each month. I really actually wish this is something we could do more of. We could help more people.
Even though it looks a little different and we can't do it face to face, hopefully folks are still feeling all the radical hospitality, just in a different format.
My favorite part of my job is just probably getting to know all of them. They're just such amazing people. And I'm gonna start crying because they are just so faithful and faithful to each other and faithful to God. And it's a treat to get to watch that and to see it unfold, and then to have them, still stay in contact with you all those years later. It's a joy.
The people are hands down my favorite part of this job.
Also, I've been put outside of my comfort zone multiple times at Trinity, not just in the realm of music, but the realm of what I believe socially and what I believe, about God, and that it's okay to question. It's okay to seek answers for different questions. And it's helped me just be so much stronger in my faith, because I did grow from being outside of my comfort zone.
So not the pandemic, but our family's participation and response to it has really given me a better sense of what it means to be a Christian and what it means to share in the life of Christ.
I will say, during this time and just what's going on in the world, it's easy to get kind of discouraged. And one thing that I keep being reminded of is that, God has got us. I know that we're in good hands, because wherever we end up at the end of this journey is, there's a lot that we're learning along the way that I think we're supposed to be learning. And so I can sleep at night knowing that God's got this, and that's all I can do.